All right. So today we're going to talk about the risks in the RV market and how we can alleviate that for investors and still give them good returns. So, like, one way we do that, like, we have seasonal demand, and we have parks that often experience higher demands, the spring and summer months. Then they fluctuate in the colder months, like winter. So what we do is we just average it out. And like in colder months, there's still people that want to live there. That's okay, but it's not such a high risk when we already know that's coming. So we just kind of factor it in.
Is that something that you guys like to do? Is you want to acquire parks in places that have seasons, for instance? Because one of the things that we don't want to do is be in a place that has seasons, ideally, right? We're choosing a spot that, as much as possible, you'd want to be there year round. We found it just reduces that risk in general. And then you get more money from that. But of course, there's RV parks all over the country and, they're flourishing and they can make lots of money. So it's just a matter of managing that seasonality. And of course, getting as much occupancy as you can when people are there for the short term. So maybe when whatever that hot season is, it's more of a short-term rental season. And then for us, we've got in North Carolina for our resort, for instance, we've got a couple months that are in the winter that are just not quite as great. Like you're not going to want to necessarily go kayaking, paddle boarding in the water. We can heat a lazy river, but it's really difficult to heat the whole ocean. All right.
Yeah.
And so how do we manage that? We'll have lower occupancy, and it's cool for us at our resort. Like our break-even cash flow is 22% occupancy, so we're set regardless. And that's one of the benefits of RV parks is that you've got a pretty low break-even point for cash flow with your occupancy, so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we do to mitigate that risk is allow some longer term tenants in those seasons that aren't as desirable. So we might give them a break, a little bit of a price break to stay for the whole off season. Maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 3 months, depending the more north you go, the more seasonality you'll have, the longer months. But giving them a break, having them bridge that gap, say, hey, you can weather the winter here and get a little break in price, that increases our occupancy. It gets a higher return to our investors. And then once it gets to be the hot season, you kind of give them the boot by just like squeezing them out in price. It's like, you know what's coming, but we'll give you that option to stay in the winter time.
Yeah.
So what else do you guys end up doing for handling that seasonality? Because of course it's all over the place. And it's just something you got to deal with to just try and squeeze out as much money as you can.
Right. So like in the winter months, we just try to break even, which is for us, I think it's around 30%. And
Which
so
is still freaking low. It's really low. That's really low.
Yeah, it is for sure. So we try to get those
Awesome.
long-term people that want to be there. They want to stay there and they're just going to hunker down and, just enjoy the cold. Yeah. But otherwise, we just try to be in warmer areas, but where there's less cold season, then we can have more of the warmer people that want to come enjoy the warm season.
Yep.
So
For sure.
What do you think about the hurricanes, the floods, and all that stuff?
Yeah. So hurricanes and floods. I mean, I'm sitting in sunny Ohio right now. And if I am correct, you guys have an RV park, or at least Brian, you've got an RV park in Ohio. So beautiful thing about Ohio is you don't have a lot of these natural disasters, right? We don't get hurricanes here. We might get a lot of rain from it. We don't get hurricanes. We might have some slight, what people would say is a tornado, but it's nothing like out west where you get these giant twisters and things that they make movies about. So it's few and far between. No crazy ice storms that are here. Really no floods, right? Like if it floods in Ohio, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so this is a wonderful spot from dealing with natural disasters. But of course there's spots that make more money per pad, per night. And those are some places where there are natural disasters. So you just have to deal with those things.
Yeah.
But gosh, I'm a little hesitant to buy something in Florida with, it's a place is going to always get hurricanes, and not just like, oh, a little bit of hurricane. You're going to get whacked. And it seems like we're getting whacked more and more and more as just the whole environment is stirring things up. Whatever you think about climate change, global warming, whatever that is, it's showing that we're getting bigger hurricanes, more hurricanes right now. And I don't see anyone figuring out the device to stop those hurricanes yet. Once they stop those hurricanes, holy smokes, the price of everything in places like Florida are just going to skyrocket. I think Musk might be working on something like that, little devices that go into the ocean. I've heard of some things that are like that, but it's nowhere near implementation yet.
Yeah, I think it's right back out there.
Yeah. So how do you handle things like that? Are you guys buying in any place that has natural disasters?
Well, we have Alabama and Missouri. So the southern states, they kind of have disasters like Texas, Missouri, Alabama. And I think, of course, Georgia gets hurricanes as well. So yeah, we kind of are. But, the cool thing is we still have insurance. And the cool thing is there's very little buildings. There's what do you call it, laundry room and a shower house. And that's about it. Everything else is underground. So unlike a apartment building, we're kind of safe.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. You don't have as many structures that are built. Most things are infrastructure or just like roads and concrete pads. And so, those are pretty durable in general. That's one of the things that we love about this asset class, super durable. Mm-hmm. Us in North Carolina, flooding is a concern since we're right on the coast of it. So one of the things that we're looking at as we are developing the park is to try and do a little bit of pad tie downs, if you will, like flooding prevention. So put down some little things that go into the ground that have little, tendrils essentially that come out, mechanical metal, so it prevents that uplift from happening from a flood. Because that's what can happen is that those concrete pads, if they're not designed properly and installed, they can lift up, and then it just makes this upheaval. And of course, nobody wants to have uneven anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of our structures, of course, I'm an architect, not licensed in North Carolina, so I'll be working with the architecture teams, and we'll design everything. It has to be designed for hurricanes, for flooding. We're building things up higher, way above what the 100-year floodplain is, because that can change, and we're looking to this for the long run. And honestly, we're looking to preventatively mitigate any risks associated with any of these natural disasters for our investors. And so why not? We can choose to build things a little more durable, a little more sturdy and preventative for all of that. So let's do that, because it's not much more cost. It's just a little more intention that has to be put in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, hurricane sounds and things, we don't need those in Ohio. All right. I'm building a deck right now, and it's just like the way you construct a deck, the way that you tie things in, it's completely different than if you were doing it in one of these states where you have to deal with those natural disasters. So just, build accordingly and work with professionals that know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. That ties in with the zoning laws, of course. So like RV parks may be subject to zoning restrictions. So yeah, we factor that into when we're looking at parks. Changing regulations can lead to increased operational costs and restrictions. So we kind of bake that into our operating costs or management. So what do you think, Zach, on the management? Do you think that creates a risk?
On the zoning? Is that what you're saying?
No, like the management of the park.
Yeah. What would you like to know about management? Management's fun. Property management is a fun thing. I talk to property managers all the time because, that's something I would say that has more of a human factor in it than anything else. Is if you don't have good management, then the whole thing can come crumbling down. Whatever your real estate is, whatever it's a multifamily, single family, RV park, RV resort, whatever. If you have poor management, then it'll just drive it into the ground. People won't like it, people won't stay, people won't come back, they'll complain. so many bad things can end up happening, but that includes things like the people that are involved. Maybe it's your property manager that's there, your maintenance guy, how they're interacting with the guests that are there. What are your systems in place? What are your what's your even core values? So us as a team, we're going through this traction book right now. So great book for business to make sure that you've got your systems, your values, that all your people are on the same page. Not just like the main management people, but the people that are working, that are in there. And so as we're implementing a new park and buying something, we have a very similar mantra that we're passing out to everyone. Here's our core values. Here's our core focus. Here's the processes that you follow. And here's your weekly metrics. Here's your 90-day rocks, your goals, your things that you got to get done. So by having good systems in place and hiring and firing good people, that's how your management is going to really succeed.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Eric, hey man.
So we got market saturation. So for us, we haven't really seen that be a problem yet. Even in Texas, where there's a lot of parks, there's plenty of, well, it's not really competition even yet, because there's plenty of RV park goers that want to come to the parks and enjoy their stay.
Well, and so that's one of the things that is awesome about this asset class in general, is that we are having huge demand, right? We're just an influx of so many different types of people, so many people in general. They're getting into RVs and just wanting to travel around, and so there's a need for more RV park spaces out there. And a lot of them that are out there, they might be just campgrounds. They're a little antiquated, so there's really lots of opportunity right now. So any investor that's watching this, it's like you're going to be getting in on the ground floor with us to really, I mean, now is the time. Like before the next 10 years, like even through these 10 years, there's going to be plenty of opportunity, but there is just not enough supply right now. So you'll be seeing a lot more supply hit in the future, but we're nowhere near anything that could be called saturated, right? At all. We're barely damp at this point. So not saturated in any way. But yeah, at some point there will be more people in it, and then you just have to differentiate yourself from your competition. So that's why it's real important to do some competitive analysis of everything in the beginning, understanding again how you are different than all your local competition, and always looking at your competition to assess what you can do to make your place a little bit better, a little bit different, and really understanding those customers that want to stay at your space versus the one that's down the road versus the one that's 10 minutes away, even that, right? And so that goes back into knowing what your customer is, marketing to them just with abandon and continually doing that. They need to know about you one way or another. And just like a billboard isn't going to cut it, right?
Yep. I notice.
No. So what are you guys doing to get more people in your parks, any of your parks? So like whether it's an existing one or whether it's a new one that you're looking to acquire, what are you looking to do, or what have you done, I should say, to just like bring more people in to there and basically take it away from your competition?
Well, we use a really high quality reservation system, and then our website, which has a lot of SEO going on, traction there. And then, of course, just the social media aspect of it. So we use social media for the campsite and push it out there, try to get content out there, consistently. So that's what we plan on doing, and that's what we're going to do for each park. Yeah. Should be a good combination. How about you guys?
I know Eric is our main person when it comes to marketing and things like that. And since we have a resort that we're building, it's a little bit different. Again, you got to understand who that customer base is. And so it's a slightly different customer than someone that's looking for the cheap place to stay, right? We're not the cheap place to stay, and we should never be. But because of that, we got to draw people in, and they got to know about us first before we can draw them in with all the excitement of everything. So what's in the works, Eric, to draw people into our resort?
Yeah, definitely. And I've spent a lot of time on finding ways not just to get repeat customers, but to build an organic, essentially avenue or funnel for referrals to come in, so that if somebody really is enjoying the park, they're not just going to come back. They're going to tell 10 other people and then come back and hope those 10 other people come with them. And then it's going to, just, it'll explode in terms of potential organic referrals that we can get. But with the referrals, the only way to get referrals and to get people coming back each year is to have fresh content, almost like a video game. Well, one of the things video games in the past 10 years have been really successful is they used to just make a game, and then you would go out to a store or pay for a download to get additional content. And it would take a year, 2 years, or a few months. It wasn't very often, and you had to go and pay as you go. Well, games nowadays and businesses have this gamification that has happened, where there is seasonal content. They just give you free content. So every year, RV park, RV resort can have a seasonal theme. That's 1 year is pirates. The next year is underwater ruins. And the year after that could be just fun themes that will breathe life into a park or an RV resort that may have become stale. And you can become stale within 3 years. Somebody can go to your park and then they come back again and they go, why did I really come back here? Nothing's different. It's really nice. I really enjoy it. This is a great place to visit. But there's no allure. There's no hook, especially for the younger generations, the children of these families. Even for the adults in the adults only section, if 1 year it's a Hawaiian theme for the whole summer, for the season, well, guess what? We're definitely having tiki bars in the adult section. If we have archaeology and ruins, like mysterious ruins for one theme, well, we will have drinks, or we will have merchandise or events that will all tie into these themes to make it so that it's just fun. It's like we get to be kids again as the owners and developers of this resort, because we get to not just excite our guests, we get to inject the fun that we may have not had as a kid, or are missing, or would really love, knowing that it was a fun thing that you did as a kid that maybe these newer generations are going to really enjoy. So being able to have that opportunity, that's what I'm banking on, will help bring back people. The referrals will just mean, hey, the more people you bring, the more free stays you get, and the more cool stuff we'll give you, because you are doing us a major favor by telling your friends and family and convincing them to come. So we want to definitely reward those guests and have different tier levels to the reward program, so that you can be in an elite status of referral, or like you are an ambassador. You bring people in, you could stay for 2 weeks for free because you brought in 10 people. Because that right there, 10 people is worth more than 2 weeks of one person stay. It might not look at it up front, but if you add in the overall years that will be coming and the people that they can refer, it's all about getting that excitement that people get when they're in Vegas with the slots, like just being able to have like, ooh, I wonder what's next. Keeping that excitement, adding that flavor into what the park's DNA, the resort's DNA, I think it makes us go from an RV resort to an experience. And that's it. We're just trying to make an experience. And I used to work at Apple. Their thing they teach you in the first 2 weeks of training is to focus only on one thing, and it's the experience that you are offering, that is being offered, and that is being portrayed, making sure they all align, which is why something like Traction, which aligns all your leaders on a vision path of what is the vision of the business. Something like Traction aligning leaders is perfect. Like, big companies do that. Apple does that. Other Fortune 500, Fortune 5 companies do that. So you don't have to be a monster corporation to take some of their super effective tactics and come in and have your team align on a vision and create an experience that is ever changing, creates memories, instant memories, and make sure park just go from 1 in a list of 100 on Google to top 5 because people know about it. They want to go there and they're Googling like, hey, have you heard of that hidden beach? That place is awesome. They have those jet things that you attach to jet skis so that you're flying in the air. And, they have all these awesome things. They have a floating golf barge, golf course barge, where if you sink a hole in one, you make $10,000 for $20 gets you 10 shots. Things that you don't hear of in most RV resorts. We're stacking those up, and those are going to be our cards when we're ready to come in and play the game.
I think you're spot on. And I mean, I guess if Apple's doing it too, the experience, right? The experience is what it's all about. Doesn't matter whether we're trying to do a resort, we're trying to do affordable housing where people are staying year round. It doesn't matter. If they have a bad experience, they'll leave and they won't come back, and they'll tell their friends it's a bad experience and they're not going to come. But if you make an amazing experience, they'll not only come back, they'll tell their friends and all of that. And by incentivizing, like Eric was talking about, giving them 2 weeks for 10 people, whatever, as an example. Yeah. I mean, those 10 people, you've always heard, imagine everyone that's listening, you guys have heard too, it's that first cost. It's that customer first cost to acquire the customer is a lot more, like sometimes 10 times more than getting the repeat customer, because they've already accepted the brand, because you're creating this culture, this experience that's awesome. So they're like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to come back. Of course I'm going to buy some more stuff. Of course, as long as you're consistent with that experience. So yeah, it's getting those first people aware of it. That's huge. And then it's just being consistent with that quality, but it's knowing, it goes back to knowing what your customer base is and what do they want. But I mean, everyone wants a great experience, because it's all about memories in life, and you remember a good experience, and holy smokes, even more so, you remember bad experiences. It's almost to erode those bad experiences in our minds, because that's our lizard brain that's trying to protect us from future bad experience.
That's not entirely true. So in the customer service world, if you have a bad experience that is to the point where you recommend against using that company, using that product, you're very vocal about it, a good company will find a way to reach that customer and make it better and fix it for them. Even if it's a scenario where they can't truly fix it for them, they can always go in and just attempt to show that they've done every single thing they can to try to fix the issue, because they are caring about the experience, which is in turn, the customer caring about the customer's experience. So some people can have a scenario where it's like the worst experience, the product doesn't work, the people I talked to were horrible, but then the fourth person they talk to fixes it from them and they don't have that bad experience again. They just had, every company has its little road bumps in terms of efficiency, customer service management, everything, right? And if you have people that fall into those road bumps when you're developing and you're growing and trying to find your fit and trying to, cement your place, as long as you take the time necessary to really, really take care of that customer and revise what they think the experience is with you, they will be willing to give it a shot and become more of a referral than before. Because the person who refers you just from a good experience is a lighter referral. They might give you 3, 4, 5 people. The people that have something that you've taken care of to show how much you care, now you've pretty much just put in the oven and baked an evangelist of your brand. Because now they can say, hey, not only did I initially have this, and this, they took care of me, they went above and beyond. Where do you get that service? So you can take a bad scenario and double and flip it, turn it around and turn it into the absolute one of your best marketers for your company for free, just by doing the right thing. And sometimes the right thing has an upfront cost, might cost more than the value of their stay of them, but there's a lifetime cost that it doesn't even ding how much that lifetime cost could be, that value could be lost by not taking care of it. And if you take care of it right, you might double that lifetime or triple that lifetime value.
Yeah, that's done. That goes back to management, right? And your management is the one that's either doing that or is falling on their face with that. And so that's why just having that vision and everything, that's so so important to the whole business. What's some of our values that we have, right? Like respect, empathy, service. Those are just some of the core values of that's just some of the values, but that speaks to those people, is that you give them that service, you empathize with them, you respect everyone, it's unrelenting to make sure that they have that great experience, because we know that experience is huge.
And here's just a little side note when it comes to the experience in the branding. When you take two of the same things, so take two companies that haul, that have the dumpsters that you rent for renovations. Two of the same exact companies. There's no branding on either one. There's no differentiator other than price or availability or time frame that might really affect if you go with A or B. But what if B was called Trash Panda and had an amazing graphic of trash pandas and everything was branded and they had fun with it? Wouldn't you go, I think I'm going to work with Trash Panda, not Bill's Dumpsters, right? And that's just branding, that's marketing, and that's just saying, how do you take something that is really boring and put a spin on it to make it interesting? And by being youthful and having fun with it and not being so serious, we're not trying to be a Ritz. We're not trying to have it where it's like, people are expecting Ritz level of service. We're going to provide what we can, but we know what we are, and we know, like our demographic that we're targeting and working with, they will know what we are, and we fit and align with their expectation. They could go to a Ritz. They have that much, they have that much money available. Or they could go with us because they do have maybe a higher end rig or a family, or they're just, they're retired, and they could stay with us and enjoy the RV resort equivalent of that Ritz with a lot more fun things that they can't do over there. And then we'll be hiring Trash Panda to clean out stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So one risk that I've had park goers ask me is about the insects and rodents and the wildlife, but something that we can't control. How would you guys handle that?
Set the expectation. If you can sit there with the sign that you walk into the clubhouse that says, you're going to meet all of our neighbors, and it shows the bugs, it shows the animals, it shows the birds, they have no reason to say, well, I didn't know that was going to be here. I'm like, that was on the first thing in the clubhouse. We welcomed you. They welcomed you in. You hurt their feelings by not acknowledging them.
Yeah, that's spot on. Setting an expectation. You're in dirt. There's dirt around you. There's insects, there's bugs. It's nature. That's part of the experience. Sell bug spray, right? That's fun.
Yeah,
we treat everything. There's lots of things you can do to treat for certain bugs. I don't know. My family is pretty strong on trying to stay away from anything that can affect us as humans. And there's, a lot of that stuff, like DEET, for instance, right? It's horrible, but gosh, when I'm going into the deep woods, I want that 40% DEET stuff that I'm spraying on me so that I'm not getting eat up by whatever. There's certain things you can do to mitigate those bugs in the off season. So it's part of it is spraying and finding good chemicals, like just a good solution for deterring them.
Yeah. You remember that little animated video in Jurassic Park? It talks about like how they do the DNA splicing. Have fun with it. Make a little animated video. Welcome, it can be something that you email in advance. So they're going to see it. They're going to know about it. They might see it on the website. There are no reasons, no excuses for a guest or customer to say X, Y, Z. If you've done A through Z to prep them, then you've covered your bases. The only thing they could say is, a shark bit me. Well, it's a river. That's kind of weird. Who knows? It's connected to the Atlantic. It could happen. We don't really have shark repellent. Don't shave and then jump in the water. Okay. So, but the other thing is, like Zach was talking about safe chemicals. There's a lot of natural concoctions and remedies out there that can be sprayed on just the same that are much safer. And I was looking to this into one of the properties I was working on. Automatic mosquito repellent spray. It would spray on an interval and it would just pull from a massive tank. And you could run that around a pool, around your underneath the decking in your backyard. So that's something, I'd love to explore around our clubhouse and the pool area, the most common areas, as well as like our higher end glamping. I would love to have those systems on every single one of the decks that every single one of the glamping structures is built on, because then we're just elevating the experience and they don't even know about it.
Yeah, I mean, and so even though we set that high expectation, like there's going to be bugs here, they're not going to mind if they don't see any. I mean, like they might complain to that, but if they get to that point, I mean, I think that's funny. The only thing you shouldn't have are like cockroaches running around the whole place, anything that's an infestation that is because of what you're doing. You really got to limit that, or anything that's crazy around your bathhouses. I imagine people really don't like any surprises when they're taking a shower or something like that. I mean, even spiders, right? Like, I mean, a lot of times spiders are harmless, but gosh, that's some people's fears. It was one of mine growing up. It was just not cool. Didn't like them. And so
Go catch your spiders this month.
yeah, and show like, oh, you could play with them. Get a pet spider. Shoot, we could sell them a little container so that they could get a pet or something. But I mean, you can also spray for those, and those are almost like once a year you spray for them, and it just mitigates that. I do that around our property here, and you can do that. So there's lots of things that you can do. But yeah, we're going to be exploring all that. Spray some things, in the middle of the night when nobody's around. So you don't want like a plume of smoke that comes out like, hey, look at the spray. Because perception is reality. So if we say, hey, we've got awesome spray to keep the bugs away, and then they see this thing pop up and a cloud of smoke comes out of it, like they're going to fear that. They're not going to like that. So don't do that when they can see that, right? Put yourself in that mindset, even if it's the harmless thing, even if it's just water, mist. They don't know. They don't know, right? So don't let their mind go crazy and just hide those things from them. And
it's like, oh, Porky the Pig is watering those bushes over there. Yeah, make it fun. Make them pink or blue. Just like coloring them, make them bright, fluorescent, and heck, you could even have it where there's an announcement and you call it like, hey, we're doing a we're feeding all the plants and also making sure that any bugs that are trying to eat the plants stay away for a while because those plants are tired. We're just trying to feed them. So this is feeding time. It's going to be 30 seconds. Please don't touch the yellow sprinklers. Boom. Now it's not what is that? They're giving me chemicals. It's like, it's turned into entertainment. It turned something that could scare someone into basic entertainment the kids will love. They'll be like, when is watering, like mosquito watering time?
I mean, you guys go to the grocery store and you see those sprays come on to the vegetable. I mean, it's ooh. Yeah. Yeah, but you don't know what's in there. You don't. So, but we're conditioned that it's okay because we've learned that. But at some of these parks and things, resorts, you don't know. So it's the perception. You just have to manage that perception in as many ways as possible.
Good deal. All right. Yeah. So as you've heard, we try to manage the risks as best we can. And so everyone can have a good park experience.
I mean, so there's financial risks. There's operational risks. A lot of people have a fear of entrepreneurial risk in regards to, hey, I've got this great idea, but if I put it out there, it's going to get cloned and my idea will never take off. It works for any business. And in the RV park industry, you can just copy the base model of a successful park and you will then be successful if you have certain factors like location and how you price, how you make your changes to that model. But I would say in a risk of like getting into the business in a fear of, oh, well, there's so many out there. There's only 15,000 plus parks. That's not a lot. That's one park for every, 15,000 people or something, some crazy number like that with the 300 million people in America, not including Canada. So it's not a crazy thing to talk yourself out of because of the fear of competition in this entrepreneurial, endeavor. And I would definitely say the risk of not doing it is a lot higher because 15 years down the line, if you really were serious or really wanted to change your life and do something, you would look back and say, that would have been the thing that would have changed my life. So I'm a big fan of calculated risks. Some people don't even need a calculator. They just know what they know, and they know that they're going to be successful because they have that grit. And they can't fail. Like some people are programmed to not fail. They may have failed 10 times, but in their mind, it was 10 practices to the 11th one, which was the success. So they never really failed. They just learned. So I definitely, want to speak to that risk taking of an endeavor like this. You just have to prepare and plan to have tough times and good times, but you just have to know like it's worth it in the end. If you can get to your land, your park, the acquisition, whatever you do, you're really going to run into a thing where 15 years from doing that, choosing that business and that path, you're going to go, man, I don't know how my life could be any different, or not. How would my life be different? I couldn't imagine my life being different than this if I had not made that choice. So all of us on this call, we're trying to do that. That's the path we're choosing, so that when we can look a few years down the road and go, yeah, that was a risk. That was tough. Ate some SpaghettiOs and ramen for a hot minute. Brought me back to my college days, and it was worth it. So don't not take the risk.
I'd love to hop and piggyback on what you're saying there, Eric, because with that entrepreneurial risk, for one, don't wait. My gosh, I was just looking at, so I've been a real estate investor for 2 decades now. I was just looking at my properties that I owned, and just this week, I was in my spreadsheet and I was looking at what I purchased everything for. Holy smokes, right? I was looking at what 2014 prices were, what 2019 prices were. 2019 was so much different than 2021 prices for things compared to now. You cannot get those same ones. So that's like the old landlord mentality where you're like, oh, man, I'm going to wait till the prices, boom, real low like it was. It's never going to be that low again. It's just not. Right? Few and far between, you found a gem. So it's just, you have to act. That's the beautiful thing with real estate, is it keeps appreciating all the time. So just act and do something. And then the other thing that Eric was talking about, oh my gosh, the things that you don't even have to deal with RV parks and resorts. My gosh. So I was at eviction court yesterday. Here I am, right? Oh, it's single family home, multifamily homes, all of that. And you got to go to eviction court every now and then. I was with talking with other landlords that are there. Some I knew, some I was meeting for the first time. And one that was in charge of property managing 1,300 units. And so he's at eviction court darn near every week. And he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on his docket that day, yesterday. I only had 1, and luckily I didn't realize that the eviction moved in my city from one building to another building. And I got there, I'm like, I didn't even know it was here. There's still signs on the previous building. They said, oh yeah, we moved a year and a couple months ago. And I'm thinking, shucks, I'm glad I haven't been here in the last year, right? That I've been operating everything. We've been making sure we haven't had to show up to eviction court in that amount of time. Again, goes back to the system and the team and everything that we do. But the problem is when you have an eviction, of course, you've got lots of missed rent. You've got probably a property that you've got to clean up. It's in some type of disarray, so you've got to remediate it and get it all back on the market. And you've got that downtime from all that rent that you're not collecting in all of that time period, yet alone attorney fees, court costs, everything else, marketing fees to get new people in there. It's ridiculous. That's one of the things we do not have to deal with RV parks and resorts. There are no evictions. Literally drag them out. Cut their utilities off and drag them out. I wish I could cut utilities off in some of my houses. That would be awesome. I remember hearing stories of old landlords back in the day where they would take doors off of houses and be like, what are you going to do now? You don't have a front door. Good luck, right? You could never do that nowadays. You can't do anything. There's so many laws. Whether you're in a blue state or a red state, doesn't matter. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is with RV parks, if you're in a blue state or red state, it doesn't matter. When you have these short-term people that are there, you can just drag them out, cut their utilities off. We're building into our system so that we can remotely do it. We don't even have to push something from the phone. Just the computer knows you haven't paid for the next day. Guess what you don't get? Electric, water, sewer. You better hold it because we're not going to, right? And so it's those things, all those things stacked, and 1,000 other, that this is an awesome asset class and everyone should check it out. And if you're not investing in this asset class, you are behind the curve. And I'm going to say that if you have a poor management company, you could even succeed in this asset class because the break-even point is so low. Yet alone, if you have an awesome management company, it's just, a waterfall of money for investors, and you can just be passive. You don't have to deal with any of that. You don't have to go into a property that smells. You don't have to worry about it at night. You don't have to have all that downtime. You don't have to get those bad reports of, oh, there's more expenses. We got to turn the unit. Oh, the contractor that's turning the unit, they took our money and now we got to pay another one. I've heard of tons of horror stories from different people. Don't have to deal with that at all. Just invest. Get your passive income from your investment. Go off and do whatever it is that you enjoy doing to make money. And most importantly, whatever you enjoy doing just in life, hanging out with your family, your loved ones, your friends, anything like that. Passive income is the ultimate real estate investor, the ultimate level of being a real estate investor. Don't fool yourselves.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, there's risks everywhere, but they're less here in the RV park situation. Anyways, thank you everyone. Thanks, Zach and Eric.